So last week I did a video where I talked about the possibility of DreamWorks doing an animated series spin-off on the new movie, The Bad Guys. And the reason I brought this up is because DreamWorks, as of late, had been doing this with a lot of the movies, whether it was through Netflix, Nickelodeon, or even now Peacock. They've been doing this. I mean, you look at movies like what I'm looking at right now, like How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, the Madagascar series, Puss in Boots, believe it or not, Peabody and Sherman, believe it or not, and even down here, Monsters vs. Aliens and Croods, you know, all of them, including The Boss Baby. I think The Boss Baby is like around here somewhere. I just gotta find it. I think it's here somewhere. It's in one of these areas. I know we have it. So, but yeah, The Boss Baby as well. All of them have had animated series based off them. And DreamWorks has also dipped their hand in doing animated revivals of classic shows like She-Ra and Voltron in a more rebooted, more modern day perspective. So the question, obviously, that I and others have had is, will they do the same with The Bad Guys? And believe it or not, I'm not the only one that feels that they will. However, I do have to correct myself on something. You see, this past week I worked, 5 days in a row for 6 hours plus. I did carts for 3 of those 5 days. So I've had a lot going on, and I was shopping as well afterwards for Mother's Day gifts on Friday. So, I just had a lot going on. So I couldn't really recall the ending of the film. I couldn't recall the ending very well. That is until here on the YT, there was a recommendation of several clips. Several clips from the film that obviously people feel stand out and really help make the film what it is. Like the revelation of who the Crimson Paw really is. And as well as basically the ending where the chief, who's been after Wolf and the bad guys, or his bad guy team for a while, basically assumes that the real villain of the film, the hamster, I can't think of his name right now, is the Crimson Paw. And the reason she assumes this is because after his headquarters gets blown up because Snake had tricked him, if you will, into thinking, he had the real meteor, but it was actually a nightlight stand in the shape of it, and the real one was pretty much in his headquarters and blew it up. After the explosion, the Zampango diamond, as it's called, gets dropped from the ceiling, along with the dolphin statue, the dolphin statue, if you will. And what happens is, after the nightlight stand falls on the hamster, the ring falls from the sky, along with, I think, the trophy, or the statue, if you will. And the chief looks at it and immediately assumes that the hamster is the Crimson Paw, that the hamster is the one that they could never identify, as Crimson Paw. Like, they couldn't figure out, okay, who's this person? How can we catch him? She assumes it's him, and yet, as he's being put into the wagon, he's trying to say, no, it's not. So I have to correct myself on something I said in the other video, because I assumed, and I could still stick by it, that in a series, we could see the chief wanting to figure out, okay, who is the Crimson Paw? Or trying to also prove that Wolf and his gang cannot be trusted, that they're unredeemable, and stuff like that. And I'll link the video at the end here. But after somebody posted that scene, if you will, here on the YT, I have to correct myself on that previous video, because I think what could potentially happen in an animated series spin-off, if they do it, which could be like a direct continuation of the film, what I could see happening is the hamster wanting to talk to the chief at first not believing a word he's going to say, because he's still convinced he's the Crimson Paw, until maybe there's a moment where he decides, or he agrees to take a lie detector test, and when he's asked if he's the Crimson Paw, that's when it indicates that he's telling the truth. Like everything else he could lie about, but if he's asked, are you the Crimson Paw? And it shows, and he says no, and it shows that he's telling the truth, that could be interesting. That could be an interesting scenario to work off of, because what we could potentially get is we could get the hamster getting off on bail, maybe, or something, or maybe even making a deal with the chief, saying, I know who the Crimson Paw really is. You assume it's me, but I know who it really is. And the chief, obviously wanting to, figure out who the Crimson Paw really is after being made a fool out of the fact that she thought it was the hamster and it's not, because, they find a way to, show that he's telling the truth. I could see him reveal to her that the Crimson Paw is, the governor. And he says, I'll even take another lie detector test to prove it. And we could see a kind of a comedic scenario or some montage scenario where he does that. And when he says, and when they ask, is the Crimson Paw Governor Diane? And he says yes, and it shows he's telling the truth there. That right there could be an interesting storyline. That right there could be an interesting storyline, to say the least, for a series, because once the chief figures out, okay, the Crimson Paw is the governor, she'll be able to kind of like put two and two together, be like, oh, so this is why the governor liked Wolf and his gang so much. It's because she's a thief just like them, or she's that notorious thief we've been trying to get our hands on for quite some time. So to me, it would create an interesting story dynamic to where, they could have the hamster provide proof, video proof of, Diane being the Crimson Paw. And Diane could have to end up give up, or basically would have to give up her governorship and basically be on the run along with Wolf and the gang to try to not only clear her name, but to redeem herself and them from the activities they've done as criminals. Again, the storyline aspect, as convoluted as I made it sound, would probably be a lot simply told and done in the series than, like I said, what I just complicated here. But again, the possibility for that to be the overarching plot for a spin-off series on the bad guys, I think would be great. I think it would really be great. And you could utilize that plot, if you will, to also adapt or loosely adapt other bad guy stories into the series to help move it along. You really could. But again, the question is, will they do that series? Will they do a bad guy spin-off series? And like I said in the previous video, I think they will. I think they will do a bad guy spin-off series. And I think the overarching plot will be that the chief will find out the truth, that the real Crimson Paw is Diane, is the governor, and that she's going to try to put two and two together and realize that this is why Diane, liked Wolf and his gang, because she, like them, is a thief. And now she's going to try her best to bring them to justice, even though they're trying to redeem themselves by doing good. But what do you guys think? What do you think of that possibility for a series and a plot for the series as well? And do you think DreamWorks will do a series? Let me know down below in the comments, and as well as in the live chat during premiere. As well as super chats are open and super thanks are open. And until then, I am out.